Oh, the horror. Weapons.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, KJV.
Seeking whom he may devour. Catch that? This means that the one seeking, the devil, our adversary, seeks to devour. However, the word tells us that it is a hunt, and he can't devour everyone. This is why he goes around seeking, looking, searching, testing, trying. Is it you? Is it them? Is it me? This sounds like the disciples when Jesus tells them during the Passover meal, one of you will betray me. It is at that time they all began to inquire of Jesus, is it I? Matthew chapter 26, verses 20 through 25. Now when the eve was come, he sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, he said,
Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me.
And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? And he answered and said,
He that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him, but woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born.
Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him,
Thou hast said.
See, the adversary was already among them, and Judas was being used by the devil, having already locked on to his prey to find the opportune time to devour. But the thing about it is, the devil wasn't after just one. Jesus told us this. He told his disciples this about himself on more than one occasion. One of those times was in Matthew chapter 16, verses 20 through 21. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ. From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. Then in Luke chapter 22, Jesus tells Peter that he is also on Satan's hit list, but afterwards comforted Peter, stating that he had prayed for him, and later he would be able to, after this experience, strengthen his brethren in their times of sifting. Luke chapter 22, verses 28 through 32.
Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations, as I appoint unto you a kingdom, as my Father hath appointed unto me, that ye may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
And the Lord said,
Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, and when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren.
In the book of John, Jesus told the disciples their fate, but he intimated that John was safe in that regard, and Peter jumped all over that, asking, What shall this man do? Speaking of the one whom Jesus loved. John chapter 21, verses 18 through 23.
Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girded thyself and walkest whither thou wouldest. When thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee and carry thee whither thou wouldest not.
This spake he, signifying by what death he should glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he saith unto him,
Follow me.
Then Peter, turning about, seeth the disciple whom Jesus loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper, and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth thee? Peter, seeing him, saith to Jesus, Lord, and what shall this man do? Jesus saith unto him,
If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me.
Then went the saying abroad among the brethren, that the disciples should not die. Yet Jesus said not unto him, he shall not die, but if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? In the movie Weapons, our second mid-season edition, there is someone who is seeking, searching, looking for that perfect one that they may devour. That someone we later find is a visitor from out of town, Aunt Gladys, played by Amy Madigan, who sends word to her niece, played by Kelly Schuterer, that she is sick and she needs to stay with them a while until she gets better. Now, this doesn't play well with her husband nor her son Alex, but out of a sense of guilt and duty, she agrees to let her come live with them. But the thing about it is just a ruse, not the sickness. Her health was failing, but she didn't need to stay there until she got better. She just needed to stay there so she'd be close enough to them to devour. How does the saying go? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer? In the case of the devil, this certainly isn't a good idea, as we find is true in the film Weapons. Weapons, directed, written, produced, and co-scored by Zach Cregger, is an American mystery horror film starring Josh Brolin, Julia Garner, Benedict Wong, and Amy Madigan. The movie tells the story of 17 children from the same classroom who mysteriously run away on the same night at the same time from the perspective of those closest to them. Released in theaters in the United States on August 8, 2025 by Warner Brothers Pictures, the film grossed $268 million against a $38 million budget. Now, here is the thing about how the devil goes about devouring. Much like the lion in our anchor verse, he watches, studies his prey to go in for the kill. He does his observing in the distance because surely if his prey knew that he was lurking in the shadows, they would surely scatter, and there would go the lion's chance to collect intel. The adversary, in this case Aunt Gladys, entered into the home and saw an opportunity to feed on the mother and the husband. However, it isn't long before she realizes she needs more. Seeing the love between the boy and his parents, obviously through observation, she uses this to get to the boy and get him to do her bidding in order to save his parents, believing Gladys's lie that she will go home when she gets what she wants, leaving Alex to believe things will go back to normal, but we later find it was all a lie. Now, another interesting thing about this film, when I saw it, I was drawn to the obvious parallels between this movie and the film The Front Room, starring Brandy Norwood, which was also one of the subjects of this season's Oh the Horror. You know the story. Belinda's husband's sick stepmother, Solange, comes to visit, and before long she uses the tension between Belinda and her husband as a cover to create separation as a way to conquer the whole house. In both cases, Solange and Gladys entered these unsuspecting homes under false pretenses to carry out their hidden agendas, their evil plans. Matthew chapter 13, verses 24 through 25, KJV. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying,
The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way.
Again, back to our anchor verse. The devil is always looking for any way in, and he doesn't always come through the front door. As in the above parable, he most often does his dirt at night and while men are asleep. But keep in mind, in the Bible, they're not always talking about night as in a particular time, which he can and does, and the word isn't always speaking of sleep as in slumber, when our eyes are closed, which he has and he will. No, as we see in the film Weapons and The Front Room, and in the case of the lion, these verses are speaking in terms of times of vulnerability, and when one is lacking awareness of what's going on around them, their surroundings. If Alex's parents had any discernment, had their guards up, had been sober and vigilant, keeping watch over their house, this woman would have never gotten in to devour. But because they allowed themselves to be manipulated by the adversary, by their flesh, with guilt, greed, a sense of duty and obligation, and acts of disobedience, they let their guard down, giving the devil the opportunity he needed to kill, to steal, and destroy. But in all honesty, in the front room and with Adam and Eve and in Weapons, the men weren't the ones who fell for the first wave of manipulation. Now, they fell like dominoes because they allowed themselves to be manipulated by the females in their lives, their wives, and his helpmeet. Sorry, I have to tell the truth and shame the devil here. However, Gladys, unlike Solange in the front room, does a more physical devouring of those around her instead of the psychological, mental, and emotional one that her counterpart Solange uses. Writer and director Zach Kreger stated that he intentionally left Aunt Gladys's background as a mystery in Weapons, but chose to present her as an ancient parasitic entity or a desperate woman using dark magic for survival. Claiming to be Lily's great aunt while draining life force from children to sustain herself. A theme that he noted spoke to his own life and the way alcoholism and addiction mimics the effects this character had on those around her and the effect these vices had on his life. However, the true reason alcoholism and addiction had this effect on Kreger's life is because they too are weapons used by the devil to drain the life from you. This is why it is important to sup with Jesus in the same way the disciples did. They had the word in human form, and we have the word in written form that is still very much alive to us today, because as we see in this message and the others before, the more understanding we gain concerning our adversary, we can see him when he comes in alcohol, drugs, friends, helpmeets, the Gladyses and the Solanges of this world, and even as the little children that are used as weapons in this movie. And when you can see him, the idea is then we will no longer be blind to his schemes and devices, and that is putting on the whole armor of God. Ephesians chapter 6 verses 10 through 13. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the word stand means to 1, support oneself on the feet in an erect position, 2, to take up or maintain a specified position or posture, 3, to be in a particular state or situation. Now, why would God tell us to stand? One would think he would say, when you see evil in that day, you should flee from it or run. But as we learn from the Bible, God requires that we stand because we are given the power to tread on evil, and therefore we should have the devil on the run. Luke chapter 10, verses 17 through 19. And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And he said unto them,
I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you.
And James chapter 4, verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Therefore, God doesn't remove the evil. He teaches us what it looks like so we stand against it. This is why he gives us the weapons. Resist it, defeat it, and teach others to do the same. Jesus said to Peter, the devil has requested to sift you as wheat. Jesus didn't say, I told Satan, no, you can't. Jesus said, I prayed for you. Again, Luke chapter 22, verses 31 through 32. And the Lord said,
Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not, and when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren.
Again, Jesus is saying, I have allowed the devil to try you with his evil imaginings, but it is so that you will be made stronger, and therefore you may be able to strengthen others. Jesus wasn't kept from evil by his Father. No, he was strengthened for and through the cross because he had to carry the whole world on his shoulders. Jesus also prayed for us in this day and those to follow that will believe on him, asking the Father that he not take us out of the world, but keep us from the evil so that we will not be taken by the evil, as Judas had been. John chapter 17, verses 12 through 15. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those that thou gavest me I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled. And now come I to thee, and these things I speak in the world, that they might have my joy fulfilled in themselves. I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. In the end, our Gladys does meet her match, and unfortunately for her, she wasn't able to flee fast enough or far enough, and eventually meets her fate as spoken of in Leviticus chapter 20, verse 27. A man also or woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. And Exodus chapter 22, verse 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. What Gladys didn't realize, and all those who are willingly choosing to follow the devil, you are also on his radar to be devoured. You see, Judas, who was used as one of Satan's weapons in an attempt to devour Jesus, ended up being devoured himself. You have to understand, you workers of iniquity, your father the devil, his lust to kill, steal, and destroy, all he does is lie and murder. Jesus told you this is what he has done since the beginning. The devil has no loyalty. The devil ended up deceiving his own self and bought himself a ticket to destruction. So your father, unlike our father, you must understand, even his own he will devour. So what is the big takeaway? Well, if you need one more nugget to satisfy your thirst that I hope that I have in some way stirred up in you for the word of God, that is, keep watch over your homes. Be those watchmen on the walls, because we are living in an evil day. But also understand, this isn't my call to fear or to be afraid. The Bible doesn't tell us to be afraid or stay away from evil. Even Jesus said he sends us out intentionally amongst wolves. Matthew chapter 10, verse 16.
Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
This is a call for you, for us, to get stirred up, to be on fire for God, because these messages are to show you there is value in that word for our everyday lives. Yes, Jesus was speaking in that day, but not just for that day, because it was evil then and the adversary was working then, as he is still today and will be until Jesus comes back. But as we learn from our anchor verse, you have a choice. Will it be you? Will it be them? Because it sure enough won't be me, because I am determined I am going to live to see more of the Lord's salvation. Because I know I need him every day, and I hope you understand that you do too. We all need him every day. This is why I pray that you be not deceived. Thank you for putting up with me one more time, and until next time, keep supping with Jesus. Amen.